Today, we have the pleasure of speaking about one of my favorite subjects, sleep. And before we get started, I want to ask a question, and by show of hands, who here knows what their mattress is made of? Okay, actually shocking. Who here doesn't know what their mattress is made of? Kind of what I expected. Well, today we're lucky enough to have Arin Schultz here, who is the Chief Growth Officer for Naturepedic. And after the end of our conversation, for those of us that don't know what it's made with, I'm sure you're going to want to know. So Arin, first, thank you so much for being here. I want to start off with Naturepedic's story. So how did it get started? Who's the founder? And what was the mission behind the whole brand and company?
Yeah, we've been in business now for 22 years this March, which we're very proud of. It's not very commonplace in the mattress industry to last that long. Back in 2018, there were over 180 mattress companies. I would say well over half of them aren't in existence anymore. I usually like to start our story from back, decades ago for one of our founders, Barry Chick. He is a board-certified environmental engineer. And for Somi, who was at her MD, we are also a Cleveland-based company, so you're not alone. So we're also from Ohio. But Barry used to go to Cleveland State University. That's where he got his degree from. And for those who don't know, there is a river that runs through downtown Cleveland called the Cuyahoga River, and it actually caught on fire in 1969. Water does not catch on fire. And the reason it caught on fire was because of decades through the Industrial Revolution of chemicals constantly being pumped into that river, and one day it just erupted from a spark, and the flames were over 5 stories tall. And the Cuyahoga River actually dumps out into Lake Erie, and Lake Erie today is one of the only Great Lakes that there is no commercial fishing allowed in, and they only recommend that you eat fish out of there twice a year because the mercury levels are so high. So that was kind of the spark for Barry and his journey of the world is chemicals everywhere. They're doing such damage to the environment, to people. So he set out to just in his own way make the world a little bit better of a place. So he actually worked in soil testing for a number of years, and he had his many decades later. They were about to have their first grandchild, and we're very lucky that she did. But Barry's wife sent him to the baby store to go buy a crib mattress for their first grandchild. And Barry is a very, very analytical man. He's probably one of the most well-read people I've ever met. We have 3 veritable libraries in our factory of just textbooks. Barry's written textbooks himself. And he's flipping over mattresses. He's reading law tags. And he knows exactly what chemicals go into making these mattresses. And he refused to put his grandchild on that mattress because he knew exactly what it went into it. And, he went home that day empty-handed and, told his wife that, my grandfather slept on a pile of hay. Barry's in his mid-70s now, so it was probably commonplace for his grandfather to do that. But, he got together with his 2 sons, Jeff and Jason, and he's like, I know we can do better. So we actually had our first prototype in Barry's garage about 6 months later, and here we are 22 years later, and, we're still, education is a huge cornerstone of who we are as a brand. I think just by raise of hands earlier, a lot of people don't know what they're sleeping on, and which we'll get to here shortly. But it is, sleep is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. I am a terrible example of that today. I have 4 children. They came into our bed last night. They're terrible creatures. So I don't practice what I preach. But for all of you who don't have your children here, please get good rest tonight. It's very, just paramount to how the next day is going to end up being. It really is the difference maker of if you're going to have a good day or a bad day.
So speaking of conventional mattresses and whatnot, what are people sleeping on?
Well, traditional mattresses, for a queen-size bed, it takes about 20 gallons of crude oil, the stuff they pump out of the ground to make your standard queen-size mattress. And with that is, so they turn that into polyurethane foam. And with that, because of all the federal regulations, they have to dump a massive amount of flame-retardant chemicals into them, which are known carcinogens. And that polyurethane foam in general will make you sleep hot. There's over 100 different chemicals that actually can be put into a mattress to make a mattress, which we don't use any of them as a company.
And what are the health risks, because this is a health and longevity conference, what are the health risks associated with sleeping on top of chemicals like the ones you just mentioned?
I think, right now there's over 100 different chemicals go into making a mattress. Right now for those who aren't aware, there are 85,000 chemicals in use in the United States right now. And only 20 of them are regulated and only 5 of them are actually banned. And if any doesn't get regulated or banned, they just kind of tweak that formula a little bit and put it right back onto the market. Somewhat luckily, with federal regulations, they've agreed to test 10 of those a year. Out of 85,000, we're talking centuries now before they get to the final result. And again, they'll just end up changing them anyway. So, overall, we as a company, we don't do anything fancy of how we make our mattresses. It is pretty much how they used to make mattresses prior to the 1950s. And that was when a lot of these new chemicals and foams and everything else went in there that are still playing out in the health sector is, people have breathing issues, they have allergies, they have skin irritation. And we are not a medical device company. I am not a doctor. Our founder, Barry, has like 8 acronyms after his name. I have none. But we have a lot of customers who come to us with some of these issues. And after sleeping on a certified organic mattress for a while, their lung irritation goes away. Some of their skin issues go away. So, those types of things are just what's worth sleeping on an overall organic mattress versus a traditional one.
Understood. And because you mentioned the industry as a whole earlier, being that Naturepedic is a pioneer in this space, why do you think, maybe this is general, but why do you think the industry has been slow to reform? Do you think just cost associated, or is it something larger at play?
Well, it's somewhat ironic in the way that we're having the show today in the state of Massachusetts. A few years ago, there was a bill that was introduced into the government here in the state of Massachusetts to eliminate flame retardant chemicals in mattresses. And unfortunately, because of lobbying groups, that bill was ultimately killed because of job loss. So, that's why that kind of perpetuates in that way where the traditional mattress industry is so much bigger than organic mattresses right now, there is a cultural shift. Consumers are doing a lot more education. You guys are all here today. I think people are trying to make better decisions for themselves. So that's why it's becoming more of the norm. I would say 5 to 10 years from now, I would think the traditional mattress industry will be at the bottom, whereas, certified organic materials will end up coming out on top.
Interesting. And being that, I don't know about the rest of the room, but I know I've been on my mattress for at least 10 years. So, and I know it's not certified USDA organic. So in that sense, what's the take? How do I make the change? Do I need to change the mattress, or are there things I can do now before that day comes that can help mitigate the dangers?
Well, if you ask business, Arin, I would say replace your mattress now with a certified organic mattress. Do it right now. Ethically, though, we don't shame anyone. Sometimes you bought a mattress a week ago, a month ago. The best thing I would say to do would be make little changes, and that goes for health overall. But get some organic pillows, get some organic sheets. Just to improve your overall space. If your skin is physically on it, I think that's something that can just make those choices a little bit better. If you haven't been sleeping on yours for a decade, I highly recommend you change it.
It might be time.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. But for overall, whether it's organic or not, you should be replacing your mattress every 8 to 10 years.
Perfect. And now that you mentioned pillows, I want to let everyone here know that actually Naturepedic was kind enough to put a bundle of 3 of their organic pillows together for you guys today. So it is a giveaway, and it is located outside where we'll be having lunch, where you got your refreshments earlier, where breakfast is, and you're more than welcome to sign up. It's through a QR code. I'm happy to point it out in case anybody is not quite sure where it is. It is a $400 value, and personally, I am very excited by the side sleeper, being one myself. Arin, thank you so much for everything today and for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting on the show.